Matt Plapp. As I was just describing to you, I want to start with some pizzeria marketing questions, and then we're going to work our
Okay.
way back. All right?
Love it. I brought my pizza shirt. I got the pizza kicks.
Look fantastic.
So I'm ready.
We
Bring
got
the
to talk
pizza
about
questions.
we got to talk about the Jordans too. I mean, those are absurd. For those who are listening on audio, he has some Air Jordans that are decked out in pizza, which are awesome. Yeah, let's start with high level question. What are most pizzeria operators struggling with the most when they reach out to you?
Most of them don't have a database and don't know how to use it. So I like to call it you've got hope and pray and you've got aim and expect. I was just doing a video for my team down in our studio, and I talked about how a restaurant we worked with 15 years ago wanted to increase Mondays by $600. That was it. We need 600 more dollars in cash to come in Mondays to make Mondays not so ugly and make us want to close. We took their database. We found 1,000 people in it who did whatever the heck we asked them to do. And we marketed to those 1,000 people, split it up into 8 different groups and targeted like, let's say 120 every Monday. So we didn't hit the same ones. Did a special promo Monday night just for them. And guess what happened? Within 4 months, 4 grand on Monday nights all of a sudden because we aim and expected. So the biggest thing that I see, and this is what's crazy about it, the biggest problem I see is that they don't have a database or they don't know how to use it and they don't have anything automated in place that's not generic and that really works. Because if you think about it, the only restaurant we've been given our information to for 30 years is a pizza restaurant. You never gave your phone number to McDonald's or, Starbucks back in the day, anybody. But
Yeah.
every single pizza restaurant you've always ordered from on the phone, what's your phone number? What's your email? Put it in the system, but they just didn't use the data.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Are there other strategies for collecting like email addresses, say?
Oh, there's a ton of them. Right here. Here's a growler in my office. This is a
Yeah.
QR code on it. We used this at one of our clients back in the day where a customer would walk in. The first thing a hostess says to a person in a restaurant, how you doing? You don't care how they're doing.
Right.
They don't care how you're doing. It's a nuanced question. But if you got something like this growler, if you're listening, there's a growler with money in it, and you've got it on there. Hey, by the way, before I seat you, guess how much money's in here? Scan this code. It'll take you to a Facebook post. Guess every week we pick a winner and we give away $100 gift card. You'll be amazed. Like you didn't ask the person for their data, but you
Right.
got them to go to Facebook and
Right.
comment on a post. And if you have tools set up, there's a tool called the comment growth tool on Facebook, which I've written about in my PMQ articles,
Yeah.
that you can set that up to where it automatically, when they comment, says, hey, Matt, thanks for your comment. To get entered in the contest, click here to put your email address, your phone number, your birthday, whatever. So in store is the number one weakness. In store, think about the effort somebody has to take. They decided they wanted to eat at your restaurant. They drove to your restaurant. They walked in your restaurant. They've taken the most effort of anybody that's doing business with you. And yet, 9 out of 10 times, the only way that restaurants try to get customer data is through loyalty programs. And trust me, I know this. We now own a loyalty program. And guess what? 8 out of 10 consumers will not join a loyalty program. They're not loyal.
These hoes ain't loyal, right? As they say.
You
Quoting a
said it, not
song for
me.
anyone who doesn't get
Yeah.
it. In terms of marketing, what is the biggest challenge outside of like database? Like what do they usually come to you and say? I just don't have enough time for this. Like what are they fighting?
Well, the number one thing is sales.
Yeah.
I talked to a pizzeria owner up in Minnesota years ago, about 5 years ago. And I asked him, I always ask him, like, what is the pain point here? Because I've also got a background. I owned a gym for a while when I had this company with a friend. And the people would come in the gym and you would say, why do you want to join? Well, I'm pre-diabetic. I'm a mother of three. I finally want to lose this weight, or I'm tired of hurting every day. So like they always had a why. And then you
Right.
had to connect what you could do and if you couldn't with what they needed. Well, about 5 years ago, this restaurateur comes to me. I meet him at at a pizza event. It was pizza. I don't know which one it was. One of the pizza shows. And he gets my book, Sell More Slices, from me. It's a pizza marketing book. And we're talking about it. And I said, well, what do you need help with? He goes, I need 100 grand more. I go, what do you mean? Dive into that. He goes, well, I need 100K more in sales because if I increase my sales with my current staff and overhead, 100K minus food cost, I've got $70,000 in profit incremental because everything else exists except whatever it cost me to get that extra 100. He's like, so let's imagine I get 100 grand more in sales. I take my food costs off. I've got 70,000 more. He said, now I can afford to hire a better GM because the GM I have now is a product of my budget. And so that GM makes me, because of their inability to do their job at a high level, work Friday and Saturday nights. He's like, so if I could get another 100 grand, get that 70 incremental spend, now I take 20 to 30 more and throw that at a higher level GM. Now I get my Fridays and Saturdays back with my family. And then I make 30 to 50 grand more for the business, which trickles through to me. And now I can finally pay myself what I made at the job I had before I decided to become a restaurant owner. And
Right.
so that is the biggest thing we find, is that most restaurants are typically $100,000 to $200,000 from their promised land. And the problem is they don't know how to get it. And one of the biggest reasons they don't know how to get it is they've never adapted to today's marketing practices. I actually call it attention. It's not a marketing plan, it's an attention plan. Because in 1999, when I was in radio advertising, a pizzeria had to buy all of their marketing. You were paying for radio, you were paying for direct mail, you're paying for billboards. Everything you did was paying. In 2025, there is no cost associated with making a Facebook post,
Right.
except that most of them suck at making it, because every post is about their pizza. It's not about their team or their environment, the community. They're not having fun. And so, whereas a marketing plan, in my opinion, is what was happening 20 years ago, today it's an attention plan. How do you get the attention of the people within 1 to 3 miles of your restaurant on their device? Facebook, Instagram, text messaging, email, messenger. That's what you've got to learn how to do.
I think it's so interesting that you bring up the sort of like, constantly messaging about your menu, your food, because that's what you think is important,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
There's a story that you actually gave me the story tip. It was based on a documentary you all did on Avery Ward, how he
Yep.
turned around his shop, Little Italy. And that was an aha moment for him, right? When he started posting, when he was like, hey, maybe I should do a heartfelt post about my dad. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, people really wanted to hear that. I didn't anticipate that.
And Avery's a case study for everything that was wrong at one point. He was a client of ours for about 12 months. And we give clients advice. We don't do social media management. I believe social media management belongs inside the four walls. I can't tell the story of the girl who just became valedictorian
Right.
and works at your pizza restaurant for the past 10 years. You can. We help subsidize it, fill the gaps. And I'll never forget, I had been told about this place that we worked with that was near where my son's lacrosse tournament was going to be, and how great it was. Everybody raved about these meatballs he had, about his pizza, old school pizza joint. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And I went to his Facebook page and it was just disgusting. It was our post that we did for him every couple of weeks for our programs. And then it was the same 5 pictures recycled for 5 years, dude. The 2-liter pitcher, Mountain Dew and Pepsi 2-liter next to the pizza, the code for what you got. Like, here's the promotion, here's the code number.
Right.
I bet I sold 100 times. And so we would always give our clients advice like, hey, here's why that sucks. Like, Facebook is not money mailer. People don't get on Facebook to scroll and see endless posts that were created for a billboard or a direct mail piece.
Right.
And we give them advice for, if you're going to make that post, here's how to make it better. But I would recommend not making it. And what happened was, about a year and a half into working with Avery, after I met him at my son's lacrosse tournament, we became friends. And when he became friends, like, he started asking questions. I remember telling him, and I tell this to a lot of people, if you're going to ask me questions, be ready for my brutal opinion. Like yesterday, we're in our sales meeting. There's 15 people. I look over, one of our guys is wearing one of our orange shirts, which is great. He's supposed to, with like burnt orange jeans. The instant I look over, what the hell are you wearing? The whole meeting turned to me making fun of him for 5 minutes about his pants. So I tell people, if you're going to ask for my opinion, you're going to get more than you want. And Avery knew that. And so I started telling him, like, dude, you suck at social media. This is terrible. This is god awful. Like, I've heard your story. Your story's not there. Well, what really hit home was January of the year after I met him. They were breaking ground and building a new location. And he had made this picture with him and his dad. His dad was holding him. He was like probably 7 or 8 years old. He's got flour on the shirt of his dad, holding the ovens in the background. Like, it's almost like this was set up by Procter and Gamble to sell pizza ovens or something. And it screamed a story. And he made this lame ass post that had like 3 sentences. And I texted him and said, dude, this is BS. Your dad deserves more than this. Tell a story. Take 20 minutes and type out a story. And he did. He like probably 20 paragraphs. It was huge. And he got massive response from it. And here's what's cool about it was, he took that and he was like, oh, that worked. What if it worked here? And about 6 months later, he was doing it 2 or 3 times a week, very heartfelt posts. And I remember him telling me one thing. He's like, Matt, you know what I do? I bury a question at the end of all these posts. Like I make this really, really, really long post. And the very end, I'll say, hey, you're interested in a job? Click here. And he's amazing the number of people he gets that come from those posts. He's like, it showed me they just read for 5 minutes my freaking Facebook post.
Oh, interesting.
And it's wild. And he told me a story recently. Him and I were at an event, and he was talking about a waitress he had just hired from another restaurant, one of his favorite restaurants. And he didn't go there to hire her. She ended up applying. But when he walked in and sat down, he had been going there a handful of times. She goes like, "Oh man, you're the pizza guy from the videos over in Groveport. You're always on Facebook. I love your content." And so she knew him as the owner of the restaurant. And he's like, "This was the best server I've ever had." And so I just said, "Hey, if you're ever in the market, let me know." A couple weeks later, she's in the market. She's like, "Hey, I'd really love to work for your brand." And there she was. But that all came because she saw his organic content. She wouldn't have seen posts that said, buy one, get one free pizzas tonight, 2 liter with your free pickup. Like they wouldn't have seen those.
What made you choose orange? Because I think that your branding, I'm serious. I think that your branding is something people could learn a lot from, and I'm sure that's part of the point, right?
Yeah, it's part of the point. It's a complete accident. It goes back to 2016. I had a business coach that I'd hired, and I highly recommend people get a business coach. Like I've got on my desk right here a book from a guy named David Scott Peters. He is one of the not one. He is the best restaurant consultant coach systems processes guy that exists. That's who helped Avery go from 500,000 to 5 million with all his systems and our marketing and Avery's drive. But the coach I had at the time was pushing me hardcore to do video marketing. Back early in my career from '08 to 15, I used to joke that I don't market. I'm a marketing company. If I have to market, I suck. And that was like my niche. I didn't do anything. And around 2014, 15, I realized if I wanted to grow my company, I had to build a brand. And like just being the guy locally that people know does really good this, that, or the other isn't going to help. So I started doing content, started creating videos. And Billy Jean was my coach. He's out of San Diego, and he had pushed me like to do video in a different way. So I started doing it on Mondays. I would film video for like 6 to 8 hours, and we would then batch it and we would chop it up into like 100 clips. By complete coincidence, 3 Mondays that I filmed, I wore an orange golf shirt. I had an orange one, a blue one, a black one. And my wife later on told me that I had more orange than I realized because just on accident, I liked it and I bought more. So like I had these 5 golf shirts that just on the sleeve said mattplapp.com. That's all it said. But over the years, I had wore the orange ones so much that I had accumulated new ones because they got wore out. And so just by accident, I had orange golf shoes, orange ski outfit, a bunch of orange shirts apparently. And so about, I don't know, 6 months after I was doing this content, I go to a conference in San Diego and Billy Jean sees me and he's like, "Hey, where's the orange? What are you talking about? All you wear is orange. Who told you that?" He's like, "You screwing with me?" I go, "I don't think so." And he goes, "Look at this." And he pulls his phone and he goes to my YouTube, and every video I'm wearing orange. And he's like, "Matt, you realize on a weekly basis, we get phone calls for people looking for help to market the restaurant, and we tell them Matt Plapp, and the first thing they say, oh, the guy in orange." And he's like, "Did you bring one of your stupid orange golf shirts with you?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Go to your hotel and change." I left the conference, went back to the hotel, got the shirt on, walked back. He's like, "I never want to see you without orange again." And so that was 2017-ish. And so from 2017 to now, I mean, here we are 8 years later, we did it. But I'll tell you what's funny, Charlie, and this is a sign of sticking with something. It wasn't until 2022 that people really started mentioning it. I wear, no lie, my gym shirt is my orange with my MP logo on it. Like my logo, you've probably seen people think it's a fist bump. It's an MP. And I've got an orange golf shirt with that. I've got orange gym shirts. I've got sweatshirts. I have some custom shirts done. And then when I wear, like I am today, my pizza shirt, which is actually one of Avery's shirts, and I've got a donut shirt I wear an orange jacket over it, and I wear orange shoes every day. I have like 30, I don't even know, 36 pair of orange shoes, I think, like close to 30 orange pair of Jordan 1s. And so I just started doing it, and it was wild because early on, you're like an idiot because you're all the time. I mean, at home, in my pool, my swim trunks are orange. When I'm at the, out golfing, orange, like you name it, it's orange. And so people around me started noticing it, but it wasn't until I was at the NRA show, and I won't say who it was, but the guy's a CEO of a major company. And this was 2019. that he walked up to me and he's like, "Hey, Matt, can I get a selfie and shake your hand?" I happened to look at his name badge. I'm like, "Get the wrong person? Like,
You want to
you're
talk
the
to me?
guy. Like, you're that guy." And he goes, "Man, I love what you do. I was leaving the bathroom and I saw some orange Jordans from across the way and thought that's got to be Matt Plapp. I follow you on LinkedIn. I love what you do, man. Let's get a picture. Let's talk one day." And this guy was I'm like, this guy could buy and sell me every minute for the whole day for the heck of it. And I'm like, this is crazy. I jokingly said, "Hey, you follow me on LinkedIn?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, can you be somebody to comment besides my mom?" Like, and he laughed and walked off. But that was when I realized, like, okay, there's something to this. And then ever since then, it's taken off. But it helps. I mean, every other day I get a text message from somebody with something, an orange car they saw, an orange this, an orange that. It happens all the time, and it's really helped. I had a guy in 2023 text me a picture as a joke, not realizing it was me. A guy named Grant Cardone was having a conference in Miami, Florida, motivational speaker, sales trainer. I took 3 of my employees down. And so this guy sends me a screenshot of Grant Cardone's Facebook post where he's on stage doing a selfie. And he's like, GrowthCon 10X. And in the very back of the screen, you see these orange dots. And he's like, "Ha ha, looks like you're a Miami MP. Hey, you want to get lunch tomorrow?" And I replied back, "No, that's me. I'm in Miami at this event. I can't do lunch." And it was just wild that he's like, "Wow, I associated these orange dots with you. And it in fact was you." So it's something huge. And I don't see it enough. Like if I was a pizzeria, I'd go out and buy 2 or 3 Corvettes for my delivery cars and wrap them in pizza. Do something unique, something brand. You can get a Corvette for 30 or 40 grand. It costs you $500 to $600 a month. It'll sell pizza all day long because you'll be the place with the Corvette car. But like nobody brands, man. They wear Nike shirts, they wear off colors, they go to Home Depot and they don't look like their restaurant. They look like some average Joe, but it's a huge thing.
That's so interesting, and that's where I was about to go with that. Is like it's almost like you're taking a metaphor and doing it very literally, where it's like, hey, you got to wear your brand, you got to be on at all times, right? Like I think that's part of the lesson.
Yep. My daughter was a college cheerleader for 5 years, 3-time national champ. Shout out Paige. She's a badass. And I wore orange to every game her first 4 years. I never changed. They were maroon. What her cheer coach comes up to one of the games, her 5th year season. She cheered her 5th. She had 2 senior seasons basically. And she comes up and she goes, "Hey, would it be too much to ask if this year you might wear our school colors to the games?" Because a couple times the team was orange we were going against. So granted, it's a football game. I'm there for the cheerleader. Like nobody knows who I am, but
Right.
my daughter's like, yeah. And my wife's like, "Hey, when we do senior pictures, you are not wearing orange. You're gonna wear the cheer dad shirt, the school colors." I'm like, "I'm wearing my orange shoes." And so I have my orange Jordans in the pictures. But yeah, I do it everywhere, and it's helped because that people affiliate me with the color orange. And the idea behind it is when they start seeing stuff that's orange, ideally, somebody listens to this podcast, they know that Matt Plapp's company helps restaurants, and they're driving down the street worrying about their restaurant sales, and they see a Home Depot orange truck, and they go, "I need to call Matt Plapp." I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah, totally. It also strikes me as like it's got to be like the perfect color in some ways because it's not really a block a lot of people are on, right? Like
it's huge. Everywhere I go, I'll be at a conference speaking in 4 weeks in July in Miami again, and I'll be down there speaking, and I can promise you there will be nobody in the room with orange, black, gray, red, yellow here. There'll be nobody with it. And it happens a lot. And it's a good color. I like energy, positive energy, growth oriented, positive mindset type of people. And orange to me is that it's a great color and it stands out.
Yeah. I got one more of these and then I want to get back into your background, but what are some other like small tweaks you see that are low hanging fruit that most pizzerias are getting wrong that just kind of kill you and you'd like to see a revolution in that area? Can you think of anything aside from the database?
Number one, connecting the owner of the restaurant with the community in a face. Consumers love to say that's the owner. There's a guy named Aldo who him and his brother own 3 pizza places in Philadelphia, Aldo and Manny's.
Yep.
Aldo's in all the videos. Love the guy. Never met him. I feel like he's a cousin. I watch all of his content. I met him for the first time on a Zoom call a few weeks ago. I reached out and said, "I just want to have a call with you. Like I want to talk to you." Like I've been following him because he does it. People love it. Kids, that's the owner. That's Aldo. He's so cool. He gives us free pizza. Like you have to connect yourself to it because you can't compete with Chipotle. Like, think about, how old are you, Charlie?
37.
37. So you're old enough to remember 20 years ago when there weren't Chipotle's, McDonald's, Wendy's, and everything on every block.
Yeah.
Where I live at, I live in Union. My office is in Florence, and the gym, two gyms I go to in Erlanger, Kentucky, basically 4 miles and 4 miles apart from each other.
Yeah.
I pass 6 Chipotle's when I leave my house and go to my office, then go to my gym. 6. Like, their footprint is unbelievable. They can suck at social media because they have the footprint, they have the brand awareness. You're going to eat there no matter what, and they have marketing money that's FU level.
Right.
Nobody knows that. People don't know that Chipotle is that franchise, is that a corporate store, but they're all corporate. I had a buddy of mine tell me one time he was going to become a franchisee for Chipotle. I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting. You'd be the only one.
Good luck with that. Yeah. Same with Starbucks, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody knows.
Yeah.
Whereas Aldo and Manny's, everybody knows Aldo. And so you being the story of your restaurant, I talked to 2 brothers last week. Their restaurants they have 3 locations, Mexican joints down in San Antonio. And I went to their website, and one of my team was on the call, and we do promotions occasionally where we give away contests. It sounds funny to me. I just don't have the time to do it. Not like I'm some genius, but we have little contests we do when I speak that, hey, scan this code and Matt will hop on a call and do a consulting call with you. It's not like I'm Elon Musk of restaurant marketing, but I don't have time. And so I only do a handful. And so I did one last week with these 2 brothers. So before the call, I hopped on their website. We have this thing called an attention audit. And I looked at all their stuff, looked at their website. And I saw the picture of their mom and dad and the 4 siblings, 4 brothers, 1 sister. And they're telling me the story how their parents opened this restaurant. It's the American dream. It was insane. And then I'm looking at their social media and it's nowhere.
Right.
Like, that is that is why people want to support you versus Chick-fil-A or Chipotle or Starbucks or McDonald's, because we can all agree that nothing at Chick-fil-A is better than a sit-down mom and pop restaurant that has chicken products.
Right.
There's not a mass-produced pizza that's better than the pizza store around your corner. So McDonald's doesn't have the best burger, but somehow they sell the most because they get the most attention. The only way as a restaurant owner you can differentiate yourself, in my opinion, is to associate you with the brand. And so I think that's a low-hanging fruit that pizzerias need to get comfortable with this device, this thing called a cell phone, because it's a little movie creator in your palm. You can do live video, you can create content, you can have fun. And I think that's a huge element. So that's number 1. And then I would say number 2, getting really good at understanding how to use targeted Facebook and Instagram ads. I'm amazed the number of ads I do not see. For $1 a day, you can get on Facebook today. You could put 41091, my zip code, Union, Kentucky. There's a place called Strong's Brick Oven Pizza there. Phenomenal pizza.
Yeah.
If you ever go there, get the almost famous hot and spicy pizza. It has barbecue chips on top. It's amazing. But they've never run a targeted Facebook ad like that I've ever seen. I live a mile from their store. And every time I go there, it's half empty. So I'm imagining they're not at capacity. And I know they're not because I know some of the stories behind it.
Sure.
But all they could do is for $1 a day, target any guy that's married with kids that lives in Union, Kentucky with an amazing picture of pizza. If you're going to make posts that sell shit, then target people and give them an offer or put it in front of them. So that's the second thing. Facebook and Instagram, it is still not used. And they've been around for paid ads at a high level for 10 freaking years. And most restaurants aren't doing it.
Those are really good points. I want to touch on the first one really fast because I kind of had like the inverse presented to me recently, and it sort of changed the way I view it. And I was basically talking to a franchisee. I won't say who the brand was, but they were basically saying, as a franchisee, I'm at a disadvantage because everybody associates me with this large corporate owned brand. And so it's double the work to get out there into the community. It's all the more important for me to get out in the community so people can associate my face and say, oh, this is a small business owner. I haven't really thought of it that way before. Yep. Well, guess what? If you're on the other side of that equation and you're not taking advantage of that, of the people who actually want to believe in you, the local business owner, then you're really kind of dropping the ball because it doesn't take that much effort, right?
I mean, at the same time, think about this the other way. Let's say that this guy gets off his butt and starts building his brand underneath that umbrella.
Yeah.
Underneath the umbrella. In 2 years, they cancel his franchise agreement. He's now not a ghost. He just goes to this level. There's a kid on Instagram who's and TikTok who's bigger than Papa John's. He's an employee. Have you seen the kid that makes the pizzas and sings?
I don't think I have actually. No.
Oh my God, I gotta send you this. You need to
Okay.
interview this guy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Talks about, hey, people make fun of you. Why do you work at a pizza place? You don't make any money. I love it. And he sings and throws the pizzas and he makes special pizzas. He has more social media presence. I'd be willing to bet probably 10 to 20 times more than Papa John's does as a whole. And he makes pizza in the kitchen. I don't associate him with Papa John's. I associate him with pizza.
With
and
him.
So yeah. And with if that kid, and I think he's like 20 or 21, if he were to in a couple years open up XYZ pizza shop,
Yeah.
he's built a brand. So like these pizza restaurants, like what I would do, if you go to Facebook and look up Matt Plapp, I'm the only person on Facebook named Matt Plapp. There's two of us. My personal page and my business. I have a business professional page and I have my friend page. I created the business page years ago so that I could have that as a megaphone for my businesses so that whatever I end up having down the road,
Right.
that I can use my Matt Platt brand to be the megaphone. And then I have my friend page because that's where my friends live and where I do, I sometimes post stupider stuff that I wouldn't post on business. But, a restaurant owner should have either use their personal page on Facebook as a way to brand themselves who they are, or have a page like I have Matt Platt, the business side, but they should be the face of their pizzeria because there's nothing promising that they're going to be that franchise forever. And you know what? Might also be the opposite. You might be able to become the biggest franchisee because all of a sudden you're a sought after commodity. Like, man, why is this guy's stores doing so well? All because he knows how to use social media. Oh, hey, this guy wants to sell his, buy 5 more. Who knows?
Yeah. I love that. All right,
It's free.
It's free, people. Let's go back. Tell me, where'd you grow up? Did you grow up in Northern Kentucky?
Yeah. We're born and raised in Northern Kentucky, Erlanger, Kentucky. I used to joke called E-Town.
Okay.
But born and raised here. Mom and dad were both entrepreneurs. They owned an insurance company together. They had 3 locations and their number one client were restaurants. And so as a kid, I grew up going to restaurants all the time. I used to joke that I thought my mom couldn't cook for a long time because we never cooked at home. And it wasn't that. It was because their clients owned restaurants and they supported their clients. We ate out, I'm not exaggerating, Monday through Friday every night. And then the weekends, we went down to a place, we had a camper and we would grill out steaks and things like that. But Monday through Friday, Barleycorns, Mike Fink's, Conservatory, Walt Hitching Post, Greyhound Tavern. And it was my dad supporting his clients, but also networking.
Where did you grow up eating pizza? At these places? At some of these mom and pops?
So Waldo Peppers was the go-to when I was a little kid. Phenomenal pizza, great arcade. Like I don't know how my parents didn't go bankrupt when I was a kid because I now knowing as a parent what these arcade games cost, and back then they were still a quarter. Like they've never changed, and now they're more expensive. But we used to go there every Friday night after football or basketball games, and I would play video games for like 3-4 hours. So I don't know if they robbed a bank and had infinite quarters, but I used to crush it there. So Waldo Pepper was the go-to, and then it eventually got remodeled as somebody bought the place and redid the whole complex, and it shifted to a place called Pasquale's up the street, which was a local like 5 to 10 location franchise, I guess, back in the 80s or 90s. And then from there, it shifted to La Rosa's, a staple in Cincinnati area. It's a franchise, a big brand, but I enjoy the product. My favorite craft pizza now is a place here called Strong's Brick Oven Pizza.
Cool. If your life was on the line and you got to set a high score on an arcade game, which one are you choosing?
Galaga. We have a machine in our office, but I found out that my son is a freak of nature. We bought this. My wife got this machine for me for my office, and so we had Galaga. The first 2 weeks, I was the king. I'm like 140, 150, 150,000 points, just crushing it, talking trash. And then I turn around like a month later, my son's like 300,000. Like I don't know how he does it. And he's also now, there's some game he plays online. He's 21 and he loves this game. And I guess there's 5 million people that play this game online and there's characters in it. And at one point he was number 1 in the world out of like 2 million people that use this character.
No
so
way.
He's probably really good at video games, I guess, because he kicked the crap out of me on Galaga. But Galaga is my jam. And I do have a cheat code because we have one in the office.
I love that. All right. So what did you go to school for?
College broadcast journalism. I was
Okay.
going to be the next Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann. That was my goal, the next white sportscaster.
Were you a big Sports Center guy like growing up?
Oh, yeah. Da-da-da, da-da-da.
You probably like grew up with it too. Like
Oh
in
yeah,
like hey, that was the heyday.
well, I was also spoiled as a kid because in the 80s, we had a satellite dish. So my dad always had gadgets. He had a car phone in 1982. And then after a year, he got rid of it because it was costing him like 2 grand a month. Because back then, if the phone rang and you picked it up, it was like $1. And he said he would leave the house and me and my brother would call him. Hey, Dad, what are you doing? I just left the house. I'm in my car. Is this an emergency? No, this is pretty cool. You're in your car. And he's like, after a year, I got rid of it because it was like cost me like 2 grand a month because you morons wouldn't quit calling me. But he had every gadget. He had TV watch. He had satellite at our house with 3 TVs set up. And so I grew up with anything ahead of the curve on these satellite TVs, including some great channels I shouldn't have probably found online that were from like Mexico, but different story. And we had all sports, and we were always sports fans. My backdrop, if you see the video, it's all Michael Jordan. I've grown up. My dad's from Chicago, my mom's from North Carolina, so I grew up as a Jordan kid. But yeah, 80s and 90s, I grew up with cable TV, Sports Center, all that good stuff. That's why today I respect what Facebook and YouTube is more than anything, because I had some guy the other day dispute to me that cable TV was dead, and I'm like, brother, it's like 75% advertising for pharmaceutical, which is because everybody on there is like 80 years old. It was dead 20 years ago. Like, when was the last time you watched cable?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't in a while. I'm like, can you think your customers are? He's like, oh, good point. What are they watching? I said, they're watching their phone.
Yeah.
Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. But yeah, I grew up with cable and Sports Center and loved it all.
One thing that's crazy to me about that is, like, I guess arguably the last thing left on cable is live sports. But like, I'm a golf fan, and I'm amazed when I talk to like an 18-year-old, they're like, yeah, I'm a huge golf fan. Like, well, who are your favorite players? The Bryan brothers. They just start listing like YouTube golfers. You're like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? This is crazy. But it makes sense, right?
Yeah. I had a restaurant. Gosh, when was this? This was 2021, maybe. It was right after COVID. And I'm down at our house has like the second floor overlooks the first floor.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the sofa watching TV or something, and I'm on speakerphone with a restaurant client who has like 8 restaurants. And I was giving him crap because he had sent me his budget, getting some advice, and he's buying the 11 o'clock news still. And he's spending stupid money on it. And I'm like, Paul, you're an idiot. Like, this is terrible. Like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I haven't watched it. Like, I'm in your biggest core demo. I didn't know the 11 o'clock news still existed. And I said, on top of that, you are missing generations of future customers. I said, are you going out of business in the next 5 or 10 years? Like, will you be open in 20 or 30? He's like, 100%. You're missing entire genres. Like, let me do an example. I said, hey, Paige, and my daughter was up in a room with 3 friends. They all walked out, the 2 twins and her. And I said, hey, name me a network TV station. And she's like, network TV, like our Wi-Fi code? I go, no. Network TV. What is one of the big network TV stations? They're like, is that our internet? Like, what's network mean, Dad? I'm like, okay, name a TV station. Cable TV. I'm like, no, name a station. Like, eventually they end up naming Impractical Jokers, which is all they knew. And they didn't know the station it was on.
Yeah.
And I said, Paul, there you go. My daughter is like 18 years old. That's 2 of her friends. Like, that was like pulling teeth. They still have no clue what any of it is. They
don't even know what CBS is. Yeah.
They have no what CBS, ABC. And I was telling this guy the other day was being a complete jerk. I don't know why I picked the phone up. He was being a jerk to me about something with our company. He wanted to have his voice heard, I guess. And he's telling me that, like, our show that we do, the ABR Roadshow with America's Best Restaurants, we film at 800 restaurants here. We film an online, quote unquote, TV show. It is a digital show. It is 25-person employee, a $5 million budget. We travel to restaurants every day. We're at 2 today. We were at 4 last Friday. And he's telling me how it's not a TV show. I go, what is a TV show to you? I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't say it's a TV show. It's a digital show. Well, it's useless. I'm like, why is it useless? Well, it's not. If it was on Netflix, it'd be cool. I said, so if your restaurant had a show on Netflix that 99.9% of people that would see it could never visit your restaurant, that's beneficial? Like, I'm struggling to understand that. If you're McDonald's, it's beneficial because they have restaurants all over the world. But your restaurant in Connecticut is not going to benefit from a guy in Washington watching. And so this guy was weird. I don't even know why I picked the phone up. My number is out there a lot.
Sure,
I'm dumb enough sometimes to have conversations with dumb people. But he's telling me, he's like, well, I don't know why you say, because we were talking about another big show on cable. He's like, I don't know why you say that's dead. I said, dude, that show, which is the biggest and one of my favorite ever, still to this day only gets 500,000 viewers on cable, of which 75% are over 75. And they're also 99% not in a community. So That was the point. I told him the a restaurant's value of putting a video on Facebook is 100 times better than being on a national TV show. And he disputed that. I said, so if I'm a restaurant and I've got a commercial, or I'm featured on a cable TV show on the Food Network that's going to reach 500,000 people, which is a big misnomer. People think that, like, the show I'm talking about reaches a lot of people. It reaches 500,000 people on average across the country. So now break that out into your and I's neighborhood, Charlie. There's probably 200 people within a mile watching that of a restaurant. And so, okay, 200 people saw you. Any restaurant listening to this could get on Facebook right now, do a live video, and reach 5,000 people in a couple of weeks.
Right.
And so that was the argument. Was I said, dude, you have this misconception that TV means ABC, NBC, cable, HG, Food Network history. My guy, that's gone. They even suck on social media.
Yeah.
The TV today is Jake Paul on YouTube. It's Mr. Beast. It is your restaurant on Facebook. Avery Ward at Little Italy has published a video blog, a TV show of his own on Facebook every week for the last year and a half. He gets tens of thousands of views. Like, that does better than any show he could ever be on nationally. And it's just funny because people don't realize it shifted 10 years ago. It is done today. And the one stat I'll give you, and this is funny, I hope it happens. Did you know that we're one of only 3 countries that allows pharmaceutical advertising on TV?
I have heard some stat like that. Yeah.
So we're one of 3. And supposedly, like, RFK, I think that's his name, the Kennedy guy, is trying to get that taken care of. But if that happens, if pharmaceutical were to be banned today on cable TV would not exist tomorrow. Be done. Every one of them would pull the plug. There'd be no money.
That's fascinating. I've seen that in, like, Reddit threads that are like, what is the craziest thing about the United States to you, like, as a foreigner? You know what I'm saying? And, like, the top response is always like, pharmaceutical ads on TV. I don't know what you guys are doing. Or it's college sports. They're like, there's just like 10 million people watching a college sports game. What are we doing?
Yeah. Why do you call football football? That's not soccer.
That too. All right. Well, so hold on. You sidetracked me, but you were talking about broadcast TV, which is what you wanted to go into. What made you get away from that?
So 2 things. Number one, I played football in college, and in college I had a professor that let me do my own TV show. It was called MSU Sports Review. And it's kind of funny. One of the guys we reviewed, one of my friends on campus, ended up being a 12-year Major League Baseball player, a pitcher, and the only pitcher ever to hit a home run off Roger Clemens. Little fact. His name's John Roush. We called him Lurch. But at the time, I started a sports show. I was done with football, blew my shoulder out, and I started a thing called MSU Sports Review. It was my version of Sports Center, highlighting the stars on our campus. John was one of my good buddies, so he was going to get highlighted. He was a 6'10" left-handed pitcher. He was average at the time. Well, 2 years fast forward, he was number 1 prospect in the country, apparently. But I had that TV show, and I'm like, I'm going to do this. This will be my jam. I get to TV. I get 2 jobs out of college, working at stations in Cincinnati, working multiple shifts, and I'm making $7.25 an hour. This is back in like 1998, 99. And 2 things happened. Number 1 was my boss, George Vogel, kept coming up to me and saying, Matt, look at this desk. And he'd want you to picture a desk. And there's like a stepping ladder of like the cell phone bars. It's like a stair step. Here's one videotape. What is that? That is the Asian female that applied for the news anchor job. Okay. And then you go to the next one. That is the Asian men. There's 3 of them. Then you go to the next one. That's the black female. There's 7 of them. Then you go to the next one. That's the black male. There's 20 of them. Then you go to the next one. There's 100. You know what that is? That's the white dudes. And he would throw them in the garbage. No, they wouldn't even watch them. He's like, we have too many white dudes on TV.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to go ahead and break your bubble. You're never getting on here. And if you do, it's going to take you 30 years. And the one guy that we had at our station, his name was Matt Miller. And I'll never forget this. Now I appreciate it more than I did then. But Matt was 38. He had just got a job in Cincinnati, and I was one of the interns underneath him. He was the weekend sports host, the anchor on the desk, and he was the weekday reporter. He had the worst shift, and he made like $40,000 a year. And he told me, he's like, Matt, it took me 15 years to get the shittiest job at this station in an average market. Get out of the business. And so they would always tell me to look at the left and right side of the parking lot. Left side is sales, right side is on air. What are the nice cars? And they were always sales. And so that was one reason. What pushed me over the edge was I came in one day and I was doing some phone calls for reports, and I had just done a really cool piece on my brother with regards to the war. He was a military vet and he was involved in it. Well, then something else happened, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to call this lady up and interview her. She was raped." And I'm like, what do I ask? Like, well, you ask this, that, and the other. I'm like, this isn't a story. This is ludicrous. What is wrong with you people? And that was one thing I was like, I'm done. Like this, the news media is a joke. And this was in 1998, 98, 99.
Yeah.
And I couldn't appreciate it. Plus I saw the fact that the writing on the wall it wasn't the next thing to do. And so I got out of it, went into advertising sales for a radio station in 1999. At the same time, September, I created a website for a boat and RV dealership that me and my dad and brother wanted to create. And so I learned internet marketing a long time ago. And that's kind of what transitioned me. I've always been an early adopter since then. We were big with search engine optimization in 2002. We were big with social media in 2008. So I've always been way ahead of the curve on that stuff. And here we are today with a couple thousand restaurants helping them do all that stuff too.
Yeah. What was the RV experience like? I saw you did that for like, it looked like 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah,
Something
9
like
years.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
9 years. We had I love the brands and the products. I hated what we built. We grew. You can grow a company through two ways: the correct way, profit and keep growing,
Yeah.
or through borrowing money. And in the boat business back then, 1999 to like '02, we grew it real organic. Took our profits each month, invested it, grew. Well, around 2003, banks started approaching us. And I'll never forget this. We're at a show in Nashville, Tennessee, and we had a brand called Skeeter Bass Boats, and Yamaha Marine Group owned them. And GE was they were in bed with Yamaha. That was like who did all their lending for the dealers. And we had a $300,000 line of credit. We had like 180 of it that was used because when you would buy boats, if we bought 6 boats at 30 grand, there's 180 of our line of credit. And as we sold them, you paid them off and you just constantly use that. And guy from the Skeeter Boats comes over like, man, I want you to buy this one, and this one. Because all they cared about was you buying inventory. They didn't care if you sold it. They wanted you to buy inventory.
Sure.
And he's like, we got these 12 boats you need to have on your lot in order to represent us in that market. And I'm like, dude, I have 120 grand in my line. I have 4 boats I can buy. And he waves the girl over from GE. He's like, hey, this is Matt, one of our up and comers. They know a lot about the internet because that was our big thing. We were the only ones back then doing the internet. Like that, they used to call it the internet. Nobody knew what it was. And he's like, you think you can increase their line? They're at 300 grand right now. And she's like, how's 3 million? I'm like, 3 million what? Well, we'll take you $3 million. Like, what goes there? Your line. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then we spent $3 million. We bought every damn boat they had. And it was wild because we grew from 03 to 06 that way. And it was cool when the economy was good. Well, then 07 comes around, the economy crashed in 08. But in 07, when I look back, major signs of it were there because our banks went from calling us, every quarter to do a review on our line and see what our inventory was like to calling us every day.
Ooh.
Like every day a bank would call me, hey, you got 78 boats on your line, $6 million. Like, have you sold any today? I don't know. Well, can you check? Why? We need to know. We're trying to figure out where we're at. Well, what it was all of these banks were so over leveraged that they were trying to evaluate the risk and offload stuff. And it turned my life into a living hell. And then 08 came, and as per perspective on when the economy crashed, and this is why I can relate to a lot to the restaurants in COVID, was our dealership did 1.4 million in July of 07. In July of 08, we did $48,000.
You sold like one boat.
Yeah, our overhead. No, I don't think we sold any boats. We didn't sell any boats. That was just parts and accessories and service.
Oh, wow.
Our overhead was $500,000 a month. So I personally, in May, June, July, August, September of 08, dumb enough not to realize game was over.
Right.
I put in $1 million. Like me and my dad and brother, like my brother didn't have much. Me and my dad had what we had made, and we're dumping 401ks, Roths, everything we could get, lines of credit with houses. To this day, my dad still has a line of credit on his house. He's 78 years old from taking $500,000 out to try like the last hurrah. We're going to save this thing. And got to a point where September of 2008, our attorney looked at us and said, are you guys dumb? Like, car dealers are folding.
Right.
You're not going to survive. You're going to if you do survive, you're going to owe the banks money for the rest of your lives. Just be done. Yeah. And so the boat and RV business was fun. but we grew the wrong way. We grew with the bank's money, and when you grow with their money, they take it back.
So how does this? That's wild, by the way. And like it really is. I mean, I was like, let's see, I was 20 in '08, I guess. And it was one of those things I'm like reading about, but I'm in college. I'm not really. I'm like, what does that mean? Like it's the first time you start learning about like money and abstract money. And anyway, how do you get into restaurants?
I started a marketing company in '08. So around that same time, it was on accident. I was kind of burned out of the boat business.
Yeah,
What happened all of '07? What's the one movie, the big,
The Big Short. Yep.
the big short, and all that. Like it's wild to watch that movie and see when it all happened and like see how it affected us. Cause we were a year before it all happened. And so by '08, I was fried. I was done. And so I had a lot of clients that were calling me up and giving me free stuff to help them. Like they had no clue what the internet was. And so I had friends like, hey, I'll give you a car. I'll do landscaping. One of the guys did landscaping on my house, like 40 grand in landscaping on our house in exchange for helping me with all this marketing stuff. And it was a hobby. Okay, cool. And so it got to a point where in end of '07 and early '08, my wife would come downstairs from bed and I usually be gone by 6 or 7 a.m., be home at 9 o'clock at night. And I'd still be at the house at 10 a.m. And she's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, oh, I'm building a website for so-and-so's car dealership. Why? Well, he's gonna give me a car. You don't need a car. I'm like, oh, that's fun. Like it reinvigorated my love for consulting. And because when I was in radio, after I left TV, I went in radio advertising and I had kept all of those friendships from 4 years of selling advertising. I was really good at it, made a lot of money at it. I was number one guy in our city. And I remained friends with all of them because I didn't sell them what they didn't need. I sold them what they needed. And if they didn't need something, I didn't sell it to them. Which is a problem. Most people that are selling shit, whatever they sell you, because they got a commission coming, they sell you whether you need it or not.
Right.
So I had created so many relationships that by 2007 and 2008, I had 15 to 20 people I was helping free of charge, well, trading crap, for how to do websites, how to do email marketing, how to do this thing called Facebook, and what is Google? How do you get found when somebody types in, car dealership Kentucky? And so by the summer of 2008, I was doing that as kind of a side hustle. And then the economy crashed and I saw it crashing and I was like, oh, okay. So we were getting out of the boat business before the crash, that we had decided that. And then the crash happened and it forces out really, really, really quick. And so at that point, I started just doing consulting. I realized like a friend of mine had a bunch of car dealerships, 46. He ran the marketing for, and I noticed their radio commercial hadn't changed in 3 years. And I'm like, hey, let me come in and help you make sure your commercial changes because it's the same damn thing. And number two, I can buy your radio for you because if I buy it as a consultant, you get a discount. I'll pass it on to you. And then by the way, you need to be on this thing called Facebook. What is that? Show them. This is stupid. This is for kids. I'm like, trust me. And so we built a company of 34 small businesses in the Cincinnati area, and then a couple outside. We had 2 restaurants, one in Pittsburgh, one in Columbus, because Hofbrauhaus was the name of it. They had a location here that the guys owned all 3. And so by 2015, I had built up this company that had 34 clients, helping with their email, their social media, their websites, their Google ads, their Facebook ads, their radio buys, their TV, you name it, everything, down to the bathroom posters. And it was me and one person. And I had that consultant that I hired that told me the orange. And he had said, hey, like you've bought yourself a great job. Like you work 80 to 90 hours a week and you do all the work. He's like, you need to scale this. Like you've got 30 different assembly lines. We had 34 clients from 31 industries. And so if something worked at our pizza restaurant we worked with, I couldn't take it and do that at the golf course.
Right.
I couldn't take the golf course, do it at the car dealership. And so we had literally 31 different marketing strategies running at any point. And he's like, make a list of everybody that you work with that you really, really, really enjoy. The people, not the businesses, not their product. Who are the people that currently pay you that if they weren't paying you, you would hang out with?
When you see their name on your phone, you don't get anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. And I wrote down Shaheen Kazemi, Jim Combs, and Bob Jacoby. And he's like, okay, I want you to give me the industry these are in and why. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. They're all restaurant owners. What do you mean? I'm like, well, Jim owns 3 restaurants, but manages 9, his company. Bob Jacoby is one of Jim's GMs. And then Shaheen Kazemi owns 2 restaurants and is the biggest caterer in Cincinnati. Now Shaheen works for us. You met him. He was in Vegas at Pizza Show. And he works for me now. When he retired from the restaurant business, I stalked him for a year. And then he came on board and worked here now for 3 years. But I identified with the hustle and grind of the restaurant owners
Yeah.
On top of that, we had a product that worked really well. Like we were the first people to use Facebook Messenger and Facebook ads. And this, like I say this, like people say, I'm the first. We were the first to run marketing campaigns, how we do to get people to give us their data to track it. And we built that up really big back in 2015 to 18. And so I saw that was an opportunity and said, okay, well, if I can do this for one pizza shop in Northern Kentucky, I can probably do it for a pizza shop in every city around the country. And that's what we're building.
One of the things I've been thinking about as we've been talking is another thing you must really like about the restaurant industry, and this is generalizing, but most restaurant operators that I'm aware of, their problem isn't a work ethic problem. In fact, that's usually sort of their demise, is that they're willing to work too hard. You know what I mean? So you must identify with that as well, in terms of just like most of these people just need the right direction to go. They don't need to be taught how to work hard, because you can't really teach somebody that on some level, right?
I related to him at a big level. So one of our clients, who was a great dude, private jet, owned the Cincinnati Reds, had mansions all over the country. Loved working with him. He was a good client. Our results were stellar for him. I had nothing in common with him.
Right.
I wasn't getting invited anywhere. Like he'd be like, dude, I can't have the orange shirt. Get out of here. Like, no. And so like, I didn't relate to him. Whereas like Shaheen, I walked in Burrito Joe's downtown and, somebody called in sick. Well, guess who's working the register? Shaheen. Guess who's got, salsa on his shirt? Shaheen. Like I identify with that because, there's been times here in my business now, even like I'm the one that does stuff. We had a sump pump issue. I installed the sump pump. Like we had an issue with the parking lot. I went out and pressure washed it. Like, my dad's car leaked gas all over because he ran over a freaking screwdriver. Like I didn't call somebody, I did it. So I related with our restaurateurs more than anything because it wasn't if I could do it, it was when, and they always did it. They're hustlers, they're grinders. I think the part that I also like the most, and this is where my article I wrote this past week for PMQ comes into play, is I'm learning how to get out of the noise. And I don't think a lot of restaurant owners know that. Like they're so married to doing it versus delegating. They're so in the trenches versus not on it. And I talked to some high level restaurant owners. They have 20, 30 locations that still have not hired people to do certain things that they should because they do it. So that's one thing I like too, is that they're like me. Like I hated delegating stuff. I hated not being the one to do everything. And I slowly learned how to do it. And so I just identify a lot with them.
Yeah. All right. We got like 2-3 more minutes. I guess the last thing I want to ask you is like, where's your company at now? How many clients do you have? How many employees do you have? And where are you guys headed?
Yeah. So America's Best Restaurants is our company. We've got 2 divisions. We've got the ABR Roadshow side, which films at about 800 restaurants a year, a digital show for social media usage. And then also there's a 10-month marketing campaign wrapped around it to help restaurants monetize the engagement, build a database, drive people into the restaurant to spend money and become customers. The other side of the company is called DRYVER with a Y, DRYVER. And the idea behind DRYVER is driving your sales. And we have 3 components there. There's a customer acquisition product. There's a catering and event acquisition product, because there's a lot of business out there, especially pizza, that could order 20 pizzas at a time. And that's easier selling one person 20 pizzas than it is 20 people one. And then we have a loyalty platform that we acquired a couple years ago. It was called Repeat Returns. We brought it into our fold, changed a couple things on it. And that's a traditional loyalty program. So right now, let's say 2025, we'll work with somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,500 restaurants across the country. If I had to put a number on that, I should probably know this, but I want to say probably ballpark 50% pizza, somewhere in that neighborhood. And we're about 95% independents. We do have some franchise brands, but most of our clients are independent. And our entire company is built around what I call the 3 commandments of ABR: attract, build, retain. How do we help our restaurant clients attract attention of people who should be eating at the restaurant more often? How do we help them build a database so that they can build a relationship with those people? And then how do we help them retain their attention? Because if you don't retain your customers' attention, you lose their business. I just did a podcast today on this, on how B-Dubs a year ago ran all you can eat promo for wings and fries. I went to it, had a great meal, and then didn't go back until they did it again this year because I saw an ad again. And I talked about the fact that what if when I went to the restaurant, they said, hey, Matt, welcome. We're going to give you the all you can eat wings and fries, but you got to register first. Great. You're in the club. Scan this code. I would have done it. Here's my name, my email, my phone number. And now they use my data to market to me strategically the next 12 months. I would have went to that restaurant 20 times. I didn't go at all. I went once and then once a year later. And it's like, that's a huge problem. Like that's what we hope to do. Like our tagline for our company is helping restaurants find more frequent customers. Because at the end of the day, if you can find more people to do more business with you, you'll prosper at a big level.
I love it. I really appreciate you doing this. We're excited to see you in Atlanta. We're excited to hear you speak in Atlanta and all that.
Wait.
So thanks for doing it, Matt.
Hey, thanks, brother.
All right. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.